Welcome back to our series on the most notorious killers in history. In today's video, we'll be delving into the twisted mind of one of the most enigmatic and mysterious killers of all time, the Zodiac Killer. From his cryptic messages to his brutal attacks on innocent victims, the Zodiac's reign of terror continues to fascinate and perplex audiences around the world. So, sit back, relax, and prepare to journey into the dark and twisted world of the Zodiac Killer. The world is full of fascinating stories, but some are more haunting than others. Today, we're going to explore the chilling tale of a killer who struck fear into the hearts of an entire nation, the Zodiac Killer. From his bizarre letters and cryptic codes to his brutal attacks on innocent victims, the Zodiac's reign of terror left an indelible mark on society, challenging law enforcement and inspiring countless books, films, and television shows. So, buckle up and get ready for a journey into the dark and twisted mind of one of America's most notorious killers, the Zodiac. As the late 1960s gave way to the 1970s, a shadowy figure began to haunt the streets of Northern California, leaving a trail of death and destruction in his wake. This figure, known as the Zodiac Killer, would go on to become one of the most infamous and mysterious serial killers in history. The Zodiac's reign of terror began on December 20th, 1968, with the murder of David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen in the quiet town of Benicia. Over the next few years, the Zodiac would strike several more times, killing and injuring a number of victims throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. The Zodiac's impact on the public and police was immense, as fear and paranoia swept through the region. Despite a massive manhunt and years of investigation, the killer remained at large, taunting law enforcement and the media with a series of cryptic letters and codes. But it wasn't just the Zodiac's crimes that captured the public's imagination, it was also his mystique. From his chilling costume to his enigmatic messages, the Zodiac became a figure of both fear and fascination, with many people speculating about his identity and motives. In this video, we will explore the twisted world of the Zodiac Killer, examining his crimes, his impact on society and law enforcement, and the enduring mystery that still surrounds his identity and motives. We will delve into the significance of the Zodiac's letters and codes, and explore the various theories that have been put forth over the years. Join us as we journey into the mind of darkness, and unravel the secrets of the Zodiac Killer. In the summer of 1969, the Zodiac struck again, this time targeting 22-year-old Darlene Ferrin and her friend, 19-year-old Mike Mageau, in Vallejo. The couple was sitting in a car when the Zodiac approached them and opened fire, killing Ferrin and seriously injuring Mageau. The police investigation into the Ferrin/Mageau shooting was extensive, with authorities following up on hundreds of leads and interviewing countless witnesses. However, despite their efforts, the case remained unsolved, and the killer continued to taunt them with cryptic letters and codes. One of the key pieces of evidence in the case was a partial fingerprint found on the door of Ferrin's car. While this print did not match any known suspects, it provided a crucial clue that investigators hoped would eventually lead them to the killer. Over the years, a number of suspects have been considered in the Ferrin/Mageau shooting, including Darlene's ex-husband and several members of a local satanic cult. However, none of these theories has been definitively proven, and the case remains one of the most baffling in the Zodiac's reign of terror. Despite the lack of resolution, the Ferrin/Mageau shooting remains a key moment in the Zodiac Killer case, providing valuable insight into the killer's methods and motives. In the next chapter, we will explore the Zodiac's next attack, and the impact it had on the public and police. In September of 1969, the Zodiac struck again, this time at Lake Berryessa. The killer approached two college students, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, who were picnicking by the lake. Donning a hood and a mask, the Zodiac tied up the couple and proceeded to stab them repeatedly with a large knife. After the attack, the Zodiac left a taunting message on Hartnell's car, in which he claimed responsibility for the crime and provided a cryptic code that he said would reveal his identity. The Lake Berryessa attack sent shockwaves through the community, and police and the public were left scrambling to decipher the Zodiac's messages and track down the killer. However, despite a massive manhunt and an intense investigation, the Zodiac remained at large. The Zodiac's cryptic messages and codes added a new dimension to the case, with many people speculating about the killer's possible motivations and psychological profile. Some experts suggested that the Zodiac was driven by a desire for attention and notoriety, while others theorized that he was a deeply disturbed individual with a complex set of psychological issues. In the end, the Zodiac's identity and motives remain a mystery, but the Lake Berryessa attack provided valuable insight into the killer's methods and mindset. In the next chapter, we will examine the Zodiac's next attack and the impact it had on the investigation. The Zodiac's next two attacks took place in San Francisco in 1969. The first victim was a cab driver named Paul Stein, who was shot and killed by the Zodiac while on the job. The second was another cab driver, John Mageau, who was shot and injured by the Zodiac in a separate incident. These attacks added a new level of intensity to the investigation, with law enforcement agencies working around the clock to track down the killer. Despite their best efforts, however, the Zodiac remained elusive, and the case continued to frustrate investigators and the public alike. One of the most significant aspects of the San Francisco murders was the Zodiac's letters and codes, which he sent to police and media outlets following the attacks. These messages contained tantalizing clues about the killer's identity and motives, but they were also cryptic and difficult to decipher. Despite the challenges posed by the Zodiac's messages, investigators continued to work tirelessly on the case, following up on every lead and exploring every possible avenue. While they came close to catching the killer on several occasions, however, the Zodiac remained one step ahead, and the case remained unsolved. The San Francisco murders were a pivotal moment in the Zodiac Killer case, underscoring the killer's cunning and determination, as well as the challenges faced by law enforcement agencies trying to catch him. In the next chapter, we will explore some of the theories and suspects considered in the case, and the ongoing search for the truth. Over the years, the Zodiac case has generated countless theories and suspects, each with their own unique perspective on the killer's identity and motives. One of the most prominent suspects was a man named Arthur Lee Allen, who was investigated extensively by police in the 1970s. While some investigators believed that Allen was the Zodiac, however, others were less convinced, citing a lack of concrete evidence linking him to the crimes. Other suspects included Earl Van Best Jr., a man who bore a striking resemblance to the Zodiac and who was the biological father of one of the victims, and Richard Gaikowski, a former journalist who was linked to the Zodiac through a series of letters and codes. Despite the many theories and suspects, however, the Zodiac's identity and motives remain a mystery. Some experts believe that the killer was motivated by a desire for attention and notoriety, while others argue that he was a deeply disturbed individual with a complex set of psychological issues. In the end, the search for the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American history, with countless individuals and organizations continuing to explore new leads and theories in the hopes of finally cracking the case. While we may never know the truth about the Zodiac's identity, his legacy will continue to fascinate and captivate audiences for generations to come. The Zodiac Killer case is one of the most notorious unsolved mysteries in American history, capturing the attention of the public and law enforcement agencies alike for decades. Throughout the course of the case, the Zodiac's reign of terror had a profound impact on society, spurring a renewed interest in true crime and inspiring countless films, books, and television shows. It also had a significant impact on law enforcement, challenging investigators to think outside the box and explore new investigative techniques and technologies. Despite these efforts, however, the Zodiac Killer remains at large, and the case continues to fascinate and perplex audiences around the world. From the brutal attacks themselves to the cryptic messages and codes left behind by the killer, the case is a study in mystery and intrigue, leaving experts and amateurs alike struggling to unravel its secrets. While the search for the truth may continue for many years to come, one thing is clear: the legacy of the Zodiac Killer will endure for generations, inspiring countless individuals to pursue justice and uncover the truth behind one of the most fascinating and disturbing cases in American history. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the mind of the Zodiac Killer. As we conclude our series, we're left with more questions than answers, but that's the nature of the true crime. Some cases defy explanation, and the Zodiac's reign of terror is no exception. But by delving into his crimes and examining the evidence, we can continue to shed light on this chilling case and perhaps bring closure to the families of his victims. I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I invite you to continue exploring the fascinating world of true crime with me. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.